It was supposed to be a new dawn in the DRC. However, some leaders in that country have described the recently concluded elections as lacking credibility ahead of the inauguration of the re-elected president. On Saturday, questions are being raised on the future of the DRC and peace in the Great Lakes region.
Because if you can't have an election in a big part of chunk of the country, such as Goma and those areas, my view is that then to what extent will the electoral outcome really be legitimate when a portion of the country is not having? Look at the situation in South Africa. If we were to suspend the elections of one province, let's say Limpopo or Free State, doesn't matter how big or small it is, and then we carry on, we have an election. Then 80% of the country has had election, 20% has not. What are we saying about democratic space? So my view is that the political culture and the topography is a problem.
During campaigning in Kinshasa last year ahead of the presidential and parliamentary elections in December, the leader declared war on neighboring Rwanda, accusing it of backing the M23 rebel group with resources to destabilize the DRC.
The rhetoric towards these elections, including by President Tshisekedi, sounded like he was beating the drums of war against the M23, against neighboring Rwanda, against other so-called rebels, and there are more than 120 in the Eastern DRC alone. I think in his new tenure, it is no longer the time to have a sitting president declaring war on his subjects. And I don't think it is the time to say who is a Congolese and who is not. It would be a time, as I would be saying in my recommendations, to have an all-inclusive dialogue. And this is not new. We had a similar dialogue in 2001, 2002 that was promoted by the international community. So I think meaningful reconciliation would focus on building trust, and that is necessary for cooperation between individuals and communities, so that we don't have Ituri, North Kivu, South Kivu at war since time immemorial. This could be the time.
The United Nations peacekeeping mission is expected to pull out of the DRC by April. The DRC government has also ended the contract of the East African Community troops that were deployed in the eastern part of the country to bring peace and stability.
Just last week, Kenya and Tanzania were in a tit-for-tat of banning their flights. Uganda and Kenya are taking each other to some courts. Rwanda and Burundi are closing each other's borders. Rwanda and DRC have threatened each other's war. South Sudan is at war with itself. So the East African community at the moment, which is closest to DRC, is under some serious tensions, of which, while we are focusing on the on DRC, we also need to focus on how our regional groupings are operating.
SADC has since deployed troops in the DRC, and the M23 rebels have resumed fighting in the eastern part of that country. Sophie Mkwena, SABC News, Johannesburg.